When the engine roared again, that Friday evening the businessman brought the van home. It rolled into the yard tired, unfinished, still carrying the silence of uncertainty. His family gathered around it, their faces marked with concern. They had walked through every delay, every closed door, every disappointment with him. But he stood before them steady. Hope is not lost. He said softly, God has been too good to us. Everyone in the community knew that Van had answered every call. When evangelistic campaigns were held, that little light ace became a moving messenger. An amplifier would be connected, 4 steel horns mounted on top, and the businessman would drive through the streets announcing the meetings. That van did more than carry goods. It carried the gospel. And somehow, in God's wisdom, the work would now be completed at home, under their own roof in their own yard that alone felt like a divine arrangement. That night they rested not in fear, but in trust. Monday morning broke beautifully. There was a knock at the gate. It was the mechanic, arriving early, moving with urgency, as though time itself was precious. He wasted no time. Mats were removed, seats came out, the engine cover was lifted away. Soon, the businessman's brother-in-law joined in, and the businessman himself carefully organized every part that was removed. Within hours, wires were unplugged, bolts loosened, and the old engine, faithful but worn, was lowered to the ground. The van stood on jacks and steel stands, wheels removed, stripped down like a skeleton. It looked vulnerable. But sometimes something must be stripped down before it can be built stronger. Measurements began, careful calculations. The mechanics discussed radiator clearance, engine placement, and where new mounts would need to be fabricated. They measured the space required for the straight 6 engine, determining how far back it must sit so everything would align perfectly. Precision mattered. Word spread through the community like wildfire. The little van is coming back to life. Taxi drivers stopped mid-route with passengers just to watch. Neighbors gathered quietly at the gate. Some shook their heads in disbelief, others whispered, if they pull this off, it will be something. The engine was lowered into place, and surprisingly, what many had called impossible began to look possible. The straight 6 Toyota Mark II engine settled into position with strength and promise. Then came the obstacle no one had anticipated. How are we going to connect the gearbox? They paused. The Toyota Mark II engines had been imported with automatic transmissions. The light ace required a manual connection. The budget was nearly exhausted. For a moment, everything stood still. But faith does not panic. The next morning, the mechanics returned with an idea. If you can get a Mark II transmission housing, they said, we can make this work. It was music to his ears. He went into town immediately and found the part. Hope surged again. The engine, gearbox, and transmission housing were loaded up and taken to a machinist. The plan was bold. Cut the top of the transmission housing, cut the gearbox, and weld them together so the gearbox could bolt securely to the engine, allowing the clutch to function properly. It required courage. It required skill. A few days later, the machinist called. It's ready. When they arrived, even the machinist and his workers were fascinated. What others doubted they had helped create, the bill was paid, and they returned home with renewed anticipation. The next morning, the installation resumed, carefully, methodically, bolt by bolt. Then came the moment. The key turned. The engine roared to life. It wasn't the tired sound of yesterday. It was deeper, stronger, confident. Smiles broke across faces. Laughter filled the yard. The little light ace had been reborn. But the mechanic raised a finger. We're not finished yet.